Скроли. Так.
О, побачимо.
Не, ова sam ostavim. To je to.
Okay. Let's wait a little and see if this works out. Okay, looks like it works. Just a sec. And music.
Okay, welcome to our new live video.
Yeah, so hello everyone and welcome to our live video. I hope that both audio and video is good enough to follow.
And let us know in comments, and we'll slowly start with this. Just to mention also about the figure, because this is also a special occasion. We printed this figure. It is from Fundraiser. I stand with La Palma, created to help evacuates of whose home had been destroyed in recent volcano event in La Palma. So our friends from Artisan Guild made this fundraiser and figure. We printed it and we want to paint it today, share our techniques and painting with you, and also support this cause. You have all links in description.
Yes. Okay, so let's wait a little bit and then we can start.
Let us know if anybody here also printed the mini.
Yeah, so if we have some of... we actually know that some of you will do the paint along.
Yeah, so you can then show what colors you put here and...
Yeah, so I have red, magenta, emerald green and light ultramarine. This is just for a start. I think this is enough to build a nice underpainting. Let me just move a little. Again, just to check if the video and audio are both good for you. Cool.
Perfect.
Oh. Thank you. So we have a little delay, but that's all right. What is important for us is that both audio and video are good enough for you to follow. Also, I hope you will have a nice evening after this and good
Friday.
Friday and also the weekend. So what I'm going to do is to start, I think I will start with emerald and magenta. So just to build some shades, and you can see I already did the zenithal priming. Obviously I will do probably the hair and the beard and the eyebrows like flame, but I will keep that for the next step. In this step I just want to build some tones underneath. Okay. So just let me see the nice consistency. And so we get this very dark tone when we mix emerald and magenta, which is fine because that I'm gonna use for the darkest shades. So we get actually very like something in between dark purple and Prussian blue, but it's more like warm. It's not, yeah, like but still
very interesting dark bluish, kind of violet bluish tone.
And now I'm just gonna move with emerald. Again, I just want to cover everything before I actually do some highlightings. First, I want to build a nice layer of paint.
So you're using a bigger brush with bigger bristle that can take more paint and water in, and you're doing this a bit quicker just for the sake of video to be also fun. But the idea, as you said, is to cover the under layers with colors. So if I may add, this is something like a wet blending, right? Because you're still moving the pigments while the color is wet, and you're getting this mix that you just said between the emerald and magenta, but you also have the magenta tones and emerald tones visible.
And now I'm actually thinking to add some of the emerald here and then move it toward magenta and see what's happened. So let's start like this. And this is visible. Of course, on camera it always looks, the emerald looks more blue.
No, it looks good. I'm checking here and it looks more like emerald now.
So we already have some kind of gradient between those two. And this will give us a nice base for the armor. So see how it already looks cool. And this technique is very cool because it doesn't build an even tone like generic tone, because we don't want that. It's supposed to be metal that is probably melted a couple of times when the giant forged it, and I want to make it look like it's built from different maybe stones melted in sand, something like that. And later on we will also add some reflection of the flames, so it will look cool. So I'm also covering the actual skin of the giant with emerald as well. I think it's a good base tone to have it. So not with emerald, with magenta. It's hard to paint and talk and think what you do. So you can see how I'm mixing the emerald and magenta and build this kind of dark purple in between. This step is also very cool because you can explore the actual sculpt and see how the layers of the texture work, like what is above and underneath. So it will give you better understanding and idea how you're gonna do the highlights after this.
Yeah, so you get more insight on depth of textures also.
Mm-hmm.
And by mixing these paints, you also try to not mix them too much, right?
Yeah, I want to like leave uneven transitions. Like you can see on the shoulder pad, it's already drying, so you can see how it looks like.
So you have some clear colors there also visible because of the saturation.
Mm-hmm. Also the crown, I will keep very dark. I think it will look cool. So just emerald and a bit of magenta.
So if I remember well, we also resized this bust a bit.
Yeah, so this one is a bit scaled down bust just because I think it's easier to be placed on camera and to have
Yeah, good
not to be too big but not too small either, so something in between.
good for streaming.
Yeah.
Good for a lesson also.
Mm-hmm. So it's big enough to see the details and small enough to actually cover everything in one stream.
That's perfect. Also, guys, if you have any questions about Marco's progress or painting, you can write down in comments and I'll be happy to answer. That's what's good with live streams. I really like that combination between emerald and magenta.
I think it's a good kind of good base tone for the fire as well.
Yeah, I can kind of imagine it. I remember as a kid staring at the flame. It was so fun to trying to understand how this works and seeing all that colors, like from magenta to that kind of blue.
I can now even add some of the red here near the face.
Warmer tone.
Yeah. So mix of primary red and magenta. And I will cover the beard with that. Also the hair. And if you accidentally go over some already painted part, it doesn't matter. It's still, this is still like the underpainting stage, so it's alright.
Yeah. And even now you're searching for some tonal values, so you can get even more with mixing red there. Hey there, we are glad you were able to join and hope you will enjoy. And also, of course, have a great weekend, resting, painting, enjoying.
So now I think I'll have to wait a little because everything is still.
But again, you didn't use too much water, right?
No.
It can be visible on the palette. The colors still have quite a density in them.
I think now I can use some of this light emerald, not emerald, sorry, the light ultramarine, and maybe place in some of the shades down below, just to make a bigger contrast between the upper part and lower part of the bust.
So with the red, you add the warmer tones in the upper part, and with blue, you're adding colder.
Yeah.
So that's also more of a tonal and color contrast that you're adding there.
There's a bit behind here. And this light ultramarine is very transparent. So it's not very opaque tone, but it's good to just add a bit of differences between the tones. And as you can see now it's obvious that lower part is more blue and the upper part is go more to the emerald and green.
I really like that red now.
Just okay.
It really makes focal point pop out more.
So let's wait a little.
And while we're waiting, if you wanted to share video, it would be very useful for everybody catching up while we're still in underpainting stage and trying to see how it all looked before next layers and next progress. Is he scary enough to start the spooky season with him? I think yes. He's like all fire. It's the 1st October, I just keep on thinking about that. And also the palette, it really gives me that vibe of it's 1st October. Yay.
Now that it's drying, I can see some of the places that I missed. So I'll just cover those now.
So also when you're applying the color mixed with water to dilute it a bit, it will pull the pigments as water dries, and probably some places and areas will be unpainted. So good thing is to, as Marco is doing now, watch and see where you need to add more paint.
You can see now how it looks when it mixes with directly on the model. We get all these different variation and different tones. And I already have the idea of the flaming beard, how it's gonna look. But you know, I have to build up the tones and until I reach that point. But it's fun. I hope you can see. Again, we have to wait a little bit just for the paints to dry a little. Maybe I'm going too fast. And also you notice that I didn't use any yellow so far is because I don't want to get warm greens yet. There will be some warm greens on the actual armor, but for now in this stage I don't want that. I want for the shadows to be more emerald, blue and magenta. So if I add some of the yellow or orange into a mix, I'll probably get some olive or very like darker green or but yeah. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining and I hope you will enjoy it. I don't have a hair dryer, so we have to wait. But yeah, feel free to ask any questions if there is any, or just enjoy the video.
I recommend questions because this is the best time for us to answer. It's easier than writing in messages, and probably some things can be showcased also.
And maybe someone else will also get the answer that they're looking for.
Yeah, in
this
later
way.
watches, so great. How does it look to you, Marcus, so far for painting?
Yeah, it's cool. The details are big enough, and I think I just need to build up the layers of paint before I start highlighting.
Yeah.
I think I will add some emerald here, just to darken up the shades of the armor.
So all other layers that you will apply over this underpainting will be your midtones and highlights, because you will probably not really go darker anymore. This would be the darkest tones you have here.
Yeah.
So when you have more texture on the mini, it's always better to apply fewer layers or to cover it with paint a few times, just in case, in order to cover all the primer and to have some saturation and density of the color.
Again, let's wait a little bit. Let me know if you like this kind of videos. Should we continue doing the lives or no? Because we want to make the content that you guys enjoy, and if this is not the best way for you to learn and follow, we can switch to the just traditional tutorials with steps or PDFs. So write us in the comments. What do you think?
Yeah, it is important for us to know
the feedback.
Yeah.
Is this the good way of learning or not?
Oh, thanks. If I can say for me, what I like with lives is the opportunity to connect with the public. So, of course, we didn't have many lives on YouTube channel, so it's not that active yet. But we're trying. The time is always a bit troublesome for us, but we, as you can see, we can manage from time to time to make a public lives.
It's hard. Like, for example, we always kind of, in a way, we sacrifice our free time to make the good time for the live streams and stuff, because we need the people to actually watch. So we kind of search for a time when everybody is free, and everybody should be free, but then we have to prepare that time next to our just working hours to bring this up.
Marco, you can forget about the free time when you're doing the job you love. But not only that, yeah, of course we want to get the best day in the week that everybody is active. But we managed to reserve one of the weekend days for RPGs.
Yeah.
Not only painting.
And about how long will this live stream last? I'm not sure. I think until I get tired, I guess.
Since it was the long day,
but I can paint. I can paint a lot.
One more thing, we have private coaching later, after the stream. So.
Yeah. After this stream, we actually have.
We're holding a class. Working on Friday, but the Saturday will be rest.
Not kids yet.
Yeah, with that, I think live will be.
So enjoy while you can.
We will then go live while we can. Yeah, so for example, when we're recording the videos or working on PDFs, there is still a lot of things that needs to be cut off that we think it's less too long. People will lose the attention because it's repeating, so we need to cut that. And I usually add a lot of graphics in order to explain it better, and of course we try to explain it while we are showcasing things. So there is a work with that. In lives, there is also so everything have its own good
pros and cons. Yeah.
Yes. So in live, you need to kind of hurry up a bit, but also try to explain as much as possible.
Mm.
And yes, and in PDFs, it's always different because it really depends on the work and how we're gonna show it in, and how many pages. I try to make not too much, but sometimes we
yeah. Sometimes when we make PDFs, we realize maybe it was too much. It was overwhelming, you know. After
it's like a book.
20 pages, you know, it's maybe this PDF should be in 3 parts instead of just one big one.
Yeah, because usually when you have like a big booklet, a lot of things get missed. Like you read it, but I watch from my perspective, I would forget half of the things because I will focus on one thing that I needed at that time. So maybe like a smaller and also shorter videos, we try to do that with editing and all. So, but for the lives is this contact, so we also like that.
Yeah, we can.
Friday fun day.
Yeah. So
you're adding color.
Yeah, I'm thinking I can boost the saturation of the flaming beard with this what's it called, fluorescent orange.
And I think on my screen it looks a bit more saturated than live, but probably the camera catches this.
So it's quite saturated.
Yeah, on my screen it looks a bit more saturated, but yeah, you can get a picture. This is red. If you're using a scale 75 artist, this is like the primary red. So not this bright as on the picture, and you're boosting saturation now with orange.
It will probably take multiple layers of this paint, but just to get the idea. And I was also thinking to maybe make some parts of the beard like smoke, like it's dark. But let's first build this stronger saturated layer.
So your explanations are good, Marco. Brad is painting along, and I can see the result here.
Oh, cool.
Oh, very nice. Oh, we already have also one painted version.
Oh, cool.
Oh, really nice, guys.
Is it on Discord?
Yes. Yes.
Cool. I think soon I will switch to a better brush, but still I can use the big one. So now it really screams.
That looks really good. It's flamey enough.
Well, as the color choices are made by like the idea what you want to kind of boost or maybe lose the saturation. So sometimes I prefer to have more like a natural tones or like a sepia filter. I mean, if Alexander, if you can bring me the orc commando that I did recently. So in this case, he is more like into the brown. So when I now place him next to the bust, you can actually notice how lower of the saturation it is. You know, the shades are still red and orange, but not strong as on the giant. So it really depends on the actual piece, the mood, the style of the sculpt, and also the idea that I have at the moment.
Yeah, all these attributes determine your progress. It really depends also on the sculpt. Because with that you get the inspiration what to do next. Yeah. Yeah, it's drying just a bit more in the shades, shaded parts.
Let's see. We can try this, but I hope it's good enough. It will work.
But if you had the chance to follow these techniques, this will also boost the speed of painting because you're creating the idea with the idea you have, but also getting new ideas with the mixes and tonal values that appear through the mixes of paints this way. As I like to say, you are mixing some of the paints on the palette, but they are also mixing on the model, and with that you get even more values, even more colors. If you try to pick all of these tones all together, you will see how many tones are already there. And with the new layers, you're creating even more tones in this.
Yeah, and that's what we call the overlapping layers. So the layers that build up by multiple transparent layers, and then you get all these nice different hues and variations of the color that can't be achieved by just building on the palette. So sometimes you need to build on the actual model. And also another part that is important is to learn the medium that you use. So for example, I just use the acrylic paints and water, that's it. So no different mediums or thinners or stuff like that, because I want to master the tools that I use the best I can. So if I, for example, switch too much on different tools, maybe then I will lose the mastery of that tool. Hope that makes sense.
They're darkening some parts.
Yeah, I want to keep skin a bit darker.
So the other parts would look more glowing.
Yes, and now I will just... Gonna build up this orange around. Yeah, so if you want to keep the kind of the grim dark ambience, what I would suggest, so for example, when you build all of the, so for example, you start with some darker underpainting, and then when you build the layers, you can use, for example, instead of white, you can use a very pastel green mixed with white or yellow. So instead of getting saturated tones, all the tones will look more kind of dimmed and muddy a little, but that will keep the ambience more into the grim dark. So you can also test that on the palette. So for example, building a different layers of tones and see how they work. The best way to learn is by practicing.
But also what I'm thinking about now is that the colors that you use here, as we discussed a bit earlier, are the colors that can actually be visible in Flame.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see that magentas and purples and blues, and because of the orange and yellows, you can see greens. And when you think more about it, the whole spectrum is there. It just what color is more dominant?
Yeah, exactly.
It will define.
I mean, that's the best thing if you can basically place all of the possible tones into the piece, but then just make few that are dominant, not all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, now it's an interesting theory. We're just like a topic we're discussing now. It's how you would still use whole palette to create. Even some of these tones are pre-made. They are created from pigments already pre-mixed, and then you're mixing them. And as I said, on the palette and on the model, and searching for the variations of tones that works best for you, showcasing something and telling your story with that. And it will depend on the colors and the brushstrokes you create. And there is so much things to consider, but some of it will come from the feeling, because you have the idea that you're perceiving and your hand is kind of applying on the piece, and then you are telling the story with that through your art. So that is the thing that goes more into theory. It's hard to explain, but not so much, because if you're trying to watch and see how these colors react and the way they are placed, you can see some connection there.
So now I'm just using just white because I want to make eyes glowing, and for that I need
White base.
White base because it will boost the saturation. But it's
so I
hard to
believe
reach.
if it shines, probably it's still wet, because these paints, they're really matte.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's still wet on the face especially, but it will dry.
Yeah, the
eventually.
deeper parts, they catch more water, so it needs some time for it to evaporate. We also created underpainting series, trying to go slowly from start, explaining how to choose and how to work with underpainting and what it can bring you, because it can bring you the mood, it can bring you, of course, the build of the volume. It's not only with the underpainting, but it can be helpful with that. And we started slowly from there, so that's a new series of videos that we're working on. Also, of course, to go further from that, we're applying overlapping layers, and why it is important to have them overlap is to create more tonal values, because for both of us, this is very important. For the style of painting and everything that both of us do is, you want to create more tones, you want more depth, you want more character to the pieces.
Again, so I see the comment here. So the paint is actually quite matte. It's still wet on some areas. You can see. So when it's dry, it's really matte. So what I'm doing now is I just want to make like his flesh is actually fire inside. So I want to kind of achieve that, to add in some of this area where the skin is thinner, to be like basically translucent, like transparent. better word. So immediately I can also add some of the reflection of the flames on the actual armor and this headpiece crown thingy. So where it will usually hit.
Paint along is going very well so far.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So that's why everyone is silent.
Yeah, everyone is painting. Yeah, this is really cool progress. And I can already see, because we discussed before, the live and Marco described some idea for the concept, the armor and everything, and I can already see it coming all together.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
I'm trying to reach his eye. So you can see I'm building the highlights of the flames now. And I'm building it in transparent layers because I want for the underpainting to be still visible. Can also add some of the reflections of the flames on the nose.
So since you started with these overlapping layers, you're using a more precise brush.
Yeah. Maybe this one is even too small, but it's okay.
So you're doing that because you're going into more definition, so now you're defining
the face and the eyes and the beard and the hair. I mean, everything a little bit, so everything is going along.
Yeah, it's building up process.
And the thing is, everything is connected, so because in this case everything is fiery and the armor looks like magma, so the paints I have also is the white and intense yellow. So what I'm going to do here is I will actually add like a little white wash, and over that wash I can add a bit of orange and yellow to increase the saturation inside of the recesses, because in this case when it's fire we want stronger saturation inside of the shadows. I mean, it's not a shadow, it's a flame, so it's a bit confusing, I know.
Oh, this remind me on one of the previous paint-alongs when...
Yeah, when you did the fire dwarfs.
Yeah.
That...
So when I see this with darker skin and glowing parts. So the principle here is you want to show that something is glowing from inner. And because of that you need a bit of darker surrounding so the light from inner sides can be more visible. And it's kind of working in negative, opposite of what you would be doing if you're just simply highlighting.
Yeah.
As usual, zenithal highlighting method.
Like a negative.
Yeah.
But still, we want to explain shapes good enough, so there will be some, let's say, traditional zenithal highlights as well, just to have better feeling of the sculpt.
Hey Neil, welcome. Neil, sorry. So we finished the underpainting phase and now we're working on some overlapping layers. I mean, I'm talking. Marcus do all the painting, but yes.
let's go back to the bigger brush. So what I want to do, I can still see some recesses are still wet, so I cannot do much on the beard yet, but what I can do is to build the reflection of the flames on the actual armor. So I'm not using the flat part of the brush. So you can see this. So for example, here, just the movement, and I want to leave the pigments on the edge of this spiky thing. See, and it already looked like a nice reflection. Same here.
I really like that. You keep on checking the consistency of paint on your finger. I can see the nice line with all the yellows, whites, and
that's for when I do the fine detailing. Now again I'm just placing some of the tones on the dried underpainting.
oh, I like that. The little cracks. So. Hey everyone. Oh, the famous hooked brush. What is it?
So yeah, most of my brushes look like this. But then kind of get used because This brush is like not really fine quality brush, but it works for me. So for example, I don't know, it often happens things like that this thing like you see here now, it's not even glued, you know, but it's fine, it works. So it might happen that this will fall off, but it's synthetic brush and it's quite cheap. So for me it works, and I can paint a lot of minis before I actually change to another one. You can see by the writings, it's already all washed out because of the use. But yeah, after just maybe one go, it becomes cooked. So it's not on purpose, but I kind of get used to it. I still have some of the nice quality brushes, but I'm saving them for something, I don't know. Oh. So again, I'm back on magenta, and I can see now that it really works well. When I go over some of the oranges, it really looks cool. It's gonna get the natural layers.
But you're kind of also making that little texture with the movements of your brush.
Yeah. So this part of the hair also needs to be painted. So much hair and beard, everything in flames.
Oh, dobro veče.
Dobro veče, Ivan. So something like this. Well, probably yes, like I'm actually using the hook, for example, when I'm painting the eyes, especially.
The white reflection.
Yeah, it works. As I mentioned before, it's about the mastery of the tools that you have. So even if you like use just
use all the broken tools.
yeah, I don't know, toothpick, maybe eventually you'll become good at painting with a toothpick. So
well, probably you can make some scratches and damages.
I think there is actually a technique of chipping.
Okay.
It's something more into the scale modeler
I remember
area.
From the primary school that we used like that very rough synthetic brushes to like splash things.
And
it can still be used that way because you will not probably use it for painting if it's too rough. It will take the paint off the model, so but it's good for splashes. But those are more like techniques, that easy ways to make something.
Well, some of them can be quite useful, especially on building some kind of texture. If, for example, you can use a sponge for something, or but still you need to redefine with brush. You can't just leave it like it is because it just looks strange. I don't know.
Yeah. So the brush is your favorite tool? Of course.
Yeah.
Because with that you create, and we usually tend to learn how to use the Bristol the best way to achieve the finish of the paint that we want to have. So you would be using glazes. For glazes you need a soft Bristol that can spread that more diluted paint all over and not leave the texture. And if you're using more drier paint, you need again to put it softly and maybe gain some texture. And it'll have its own, again, pros and cons. But the idea is to master it and use it all as cons. Pros.
Pros, not cons.
Okay. New word. Pros. Also, you did some of the reflections on the crown so you can define it, but also not paint it too much because you want it to be darker.
Yeah, I want to keep the, like, basically like burnt metal. So the only reflection is because of the flames. So it's supposed to be very like dull, but because of the actual burning flames, it looks like it's reflecting.
So with that you're describing that he is very, very flamey. So we can really see that it's that evil fire.
It's very obvious.
It's obvious, but still you're adding detail to explain it more. So it's all needed.
Well, I really like the concept of giants and fire giants. My actual one of my characters that I actually use for playing, not for because usually I'm the game master, but the one I play is Goliath Tiefling, and he's wielding a sword that is made by a fire giant. But for some reason the sword, it doesn't burn. It's not working, so he needs to reawaken the flames. Maybe in some next sessions he actually managed to do that. I don't know. It depends on the game master.
Game master is right behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Tempus says. But I really like this, as you say, more like a calm surface of darker tone, and then you add this reflection on the edge, and it really gives more boost and like enough definition. As you said, it's obvious, it doesn't need too many explanations, and just a little bit like slight say brushstroke is enough to explain it.
But there's so much orange, like I'm just painting with orange and yellow right now.
Well, again, good thing is that you have that greens, blues, and violet now created from the previous tones, and it makes really nice contrast to this orange, and it doesn't look too much. Very nice.
So you now get the idea why I build all those magentas underneath, because now when I even do a little glaze over it or some highlights, it really works to my advantage, and I get so many tones without even trying too much. And let's switch a bit from this orange and do this shoulder pad a little bit. And for that I want to have some greens now, some warm actual greens. So on one side of the palette I will take a bit of this intense yellow and a bit of emerald and build this nice looking green tone. Just to check that, because it's a bit more of yellow. I think that's good enough, so I want to build it here like this. A bit of emerald and blue. Yeah, I think that this is the tone that I imagined. And I'm doing it very thin. I want to be transparent, just to see.
Probably it will look even darker when it dries. That was a really good idea. That green really fits and bring more definition also to the volumes of the shoulder pad.
Now also increase some of the magenta. There is something about the green and magenta that I really like. I guess I can't escape that mix of colors, like always green and magenta.
I was just thinking about it because, you know, when we talk about the colors in the shades, and I usually try to explain that, of course, you can have any color in the shade, but the shade still needs to be darker than the highlight. And with this, you have that magentas, but it really mixes nicely and creates the darker values. They're still saturated enough, and it looks darker than green, which is very interesting and very aesthetically interesting for the eye. That's why it works so good. And now when you mix them and create all these tones, and now you're adding some warmer greens, it really brings something out there.
Yeah, I like it.
Try not to burn your fingers on his beard.
I think the beard can be even pushed even further in this direction, like bring the lights around the face even brighter to look like it's burning. But for now I want to play with the armor to see what will look like when I highlight some of the edges with these nice greens.
I know it just started, but I already like it.
You can even use some of the blue here.
So do you guys ever do sketches or color studies in a sketchbook if you're not sure where you want to go with painting on a miniature, or it's always make your exploration on the mini itself? Well, I try to do like something in the sketchbook, but not really because of the exploration, because I felt like painting a bit on the paper. And yeah, I thought it would be fun to try it out, but I think it's a bit different on the miniature every time. There are things that you can do much better and more things that you can do on the paper because you have only one side that you're explaining. So you can put some side effects, like something that is visible only on the back edge, like the outline on the miniature on the sketch, but on the miniature you cannot simply do that. You can, but you need much more explanation because it's 3D. But then on the sketch you don't have that depth. I mean, you need to build it more than on the figure, because on the figure you already have sculpt, so you start with the idea of building the depth, if I'm explaining that well. But I still like to just, for my pleasure, do some sketches and paintings in the sketchbook. Not regarding miniatures, but more like expanding hobby. Because miniatures should be the hobby, but since we're doing it professionally, I needed something more.
So it looks more interesting now.
Oh, thanks, Nick. We appreciate it. And of course, Marco really liked, as he explained, the fire giant, and it's nice cause to support helping in these
crazy
times. And yeah, I even dreamt a bit about the volcano and everything. Yeah. It was a combined of everything that happenings around us. We were really concerned when we learned about this, and I was dreaming about the volcano and tornado, right? So no more dreams for me. I really hope that things will get better, and if nothing more, this painting can help with getting us think a bit
on the other stuff.
Yes. And that's why I also really like the character and the name and the explanation of it. He's the protector. And he's getting alive in all his glory here on this painting stream. My Serbian and English started to mix, and yeah. Don't judge. So Marco, what are our hobbies now?
Well, we play games.
Yeah.
Role play and video games. So I guess that is the hobby now. I mean, video games for me were always there. There's so much things that I want to play and did play when I was younger.
Do you know how much this all affects? It's I've been thinking about it recently also because of when we talked about some vacation or something, as sometimes you really not feel like you're working because you would do this anyway, but then you're still working because there are some deadlines, there are things that you need to do, there are things you need to edit, create, post, and answer. So it's really hard to put that line between hobby and profession. As when we don't paint something for work or for tutorial, usually you can choose figure to paint for yourself. Maybe you will use it for tutorial later, but maybe you just did it to enjoy.
Yeah.
Or to paint it for the game.
Also, another, let's call it hobby, is reading.
Yeah. And sometimes nowadays when we don't have time to read because of many hours of painting, there are audiobooks, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And also because as every technique, you need to have your to kind of nourish your skill. And for me, it's that drawing and painting on paper, because I don't do it that much. It's kind of a hobby for me now. Before I get it more. But also with a lot of videos and PDFs now, I don't even paint enough. So also that. Or I paint enough, but not as much as I would like to.
Well, I personally always feel that I could paint so much more, but I'm not painting enough.
But then when you look what...
Yeah, but I still think that I could paint more for some reason. I don't know. I think it's a good thing that I always want to paint more, but...
I think it's really interesting how after so many years we still have so much inspiration to paint. I always thought I would get tired by now, but no, there is still so much things that I know I will not have time to do. And there are so many new releases.
Yeah.
Too much.
Also, another hobby is 3D printing that we are also doing. So we have to really put some time and invest in that as well. But it's fun, even though I won't paint maybe a 10% of the stuff that I print. It just, it's always fun when you see you create another mini and it's there on the shelf. You created that. It's your little toy. So there is another thing that we do next to painting. I mean, it's connected, but it doesn't have to. I know some people who just print minis. They don't actually paint them. Shame on them. Yeah.
You think shame on us for not printing everything we have then? You cannot do everything, Mark.
I will print maybe eventually.
Yeah.
And they will
probably.
You never know.
Yeah, we'll have a new printing toy in some of the next months, so we'll see about that. And for the brand of paints that we are using,
those are scale 75 artist paints. So they're like smooth acrylic.
Yeah, those are the ones we use the most since we started using them, since they were released. And they're very matte and very smooth, easy to use, and very nice tones.
Well, the one is it's called Petar Meselgia. He is like the person that I think is most similar to my views of color use and the brush strokes.
Yeah, the way he uses colors and brush strokes.
So I feel a great connection with him, and I had pleasure in being his friend as well. So, which is awesome. Another one would probably be a Paul Bonner. I really like his storytelling with works and how he bring characters to life.
And those are many of thin layers.
Yeah, thin layers. So his technique is different. So he build the layers with like very thin. I mean, it's not completely different, but maybe a bit more redefined. How to say?
Yeah. We also had a chance that time in Italy to see many works live, and it was such a moment seeing them like closely, and
it's almost strange to think that's aquarelle because it's very deep looking somehow and so thin in so many thin layers.
So for the campaign I'm running, I still haven't painted anything. I did like sketched something, but I'm not there yet. I trying to think of the characters, but the time will not really allow me to work much on it. So probably I'm not sure if I managed to paint the miniatures, but probably I'll do some quick, maybe aquarelle painting sketches just to have something for the players. Also, I promise to the Goliath Tiefling here to do the sword that you designed, but I really like the design and I want to draw there.
Cool.
Yeah, so when time allows, I will do that. But it's new month also, so we'll have to do some works also on Patreon and yeah, on other free time where we're not doing live. I will sketch a bit more. And probably when time allows again, I'm really looking forward to paint some miniatures for this campaign because there are many online. Probably when you get to the main guy, to the boss.
To the boss, big boss.
Yeah. Then that will be the epic moment. I need to have miniature for that. It still have a lot of details. I can see.
Yeah.
It's big surfaces, but again, all these surfaces have these sides and textures and all. A lot of things to be done here.
Let me build up some.
Oh, I really like that belt of his.
Yeah, there's a belt as well.
Thanks for reminding. Well, I'm sure for the detailing.
It's too much.
Too much, yeah. So.
Thank you very much. I'm really glad to hear that.
Yeah, thank you.
And it was, I think we maybe talked on some previous lives how when we basically jump into miniature painting, it was in kind of different realm to say. Yeah, So I remember our first competition. We placed our works on the shelves, and then we noticed, and people noticed as well, like your stuff is different. And then we try to observe what they mean, and then so we noticed that, and it's really cool that it actually became. It was not intentional. We just follow our way of painting, and it became our style.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool, and we are happy to see now so many other painters who got inspired to try to push into this more paintery direction. It's really cool. So I think in the last, it was 5 years, the painting scene changed. It changed. So now we are more kind of accepted, and I think, as you said, we became more influential on others to also try different approaches when it comes to the miniature painting.
Also, now when you say it, I found something that I bought in some stores for decorations for home, but I didn't bought it for decorations for house. I was buying it for possible plinth or miniature project usage, because in that time when we started painting, and we always thought about how can we use this for anything that looked miniature enough was good for maybe some project in the future. And some of that is a bit lost now, because you have everything. You can print anything, there are tools that you can sculpt with, or
you don't have to spend too much time on building stuff when you can get it already.
But I kind of miss a bit of that, because I also felt in that period, I felt like we came in that transition time, because
I think we are getting again back on the concept of exploring and learning through that, because I remember many occasions when I would go buy one paint and then I go back home, take a miniature or shield or something and try, how can I use this paint, to make something cool out of it. And I think thanks to that, I actually learned how to work more with colors, because
it was much of exploration, trying out.
But there is always that's very important in anything, not just painting, is that magic of learning. And you always need to sparkle that thing, because if you keep doing the same stuff you think you're good at and you just keep at that level,
you'll never go further.
But not just that, you will lose the joy of it.
Also the interest, like pushing it forward.
But it's not just pushing it forward, it's just, you can even go backwards if you think you missed something.
That's a good point, because if you're painting for I don't know how many years, you can always look back to your older works, and maybe you'll see something that you, not intentionally, but you lost something, and you're like, maybe I can return that, maybe more advanced now, but something you like. And as you said, even in that time when we started, and like you buy one paint, or you buy one set of miniatures, and the biggest joy was to convert and create something different, like, because the miniatures looked more alike. That was like when you buy Games Workshop and you buy Unit, and they're similar, they have some different weapons,
and then you want to build each of them a character. And I remember when I was doing a Chaos Knight, and I kind of get all this, so you have like a 5 minutes to paint for one. It's not actually, you need more probably for to play it. But like, I decided I would go full non-metallic metal, and I will build this idea and the character, and I will sculpt some stuff and even do some kit bashing. And then the friend asked me, why are you doing this? I mean, you need many of those models to actually build an army. And I said, I don't know, I just enjoy it. I'll probably never build it. And I think I paint one more night because on the next one I even change. I went further, but I think that helps me. Like this whole idea of storytelling and dedication is actually the best thing when you want to learn. You know, you cannot, you know, be lazy about it. You have to spend time and effort to learn
it's also
things.
because you're more into miniatures because of the creative side of it, not for the gaming side of it. So if you're more for the gaming side of it, then of course, in order to paint your army and
yeah, but looking for shortcuts is what actually destroys this creative exploration and building in your painting approach. For example, if you go it slow and learn every step, then you know what to do, what to avoid. So you went into a bad direction that was good at that time, but now when you start painting, you know what to avoid immediately. You know what to expect, and that is why you need to spend time, and through try and error and success you will eventually become better, and you will find yourself into this, because not everyone will enjoy the same thing. So much orange.
Yeah, but that reminds me also, when I started painting, I started with some colors that it was a gift from Marco, but also something I had at home from other paintings from school, acrylics, and I used to mix all the paints to try to make some tones that I thought I needed at the time, I just wanted to have. And later in process of painting, I just never stopped mixing paints because I never get to use of these pre-made tones. And I think that's good because I still don't want to use them clear as they are. It looks too, I don't know, separated, too sterile. And when you have that flow of colors, it brings something more. But it's also more to the aesthetic and like to creativity and the idea of the artist and what you want to bring with that. So it must be something that you like in order to bring it best way so others can like it.
Oh, sorry.
I really like that ornament part of the chest. And I think it's visible how all the underneath tones are visible through the orange, and they're creating this flow and more tones.
I'll probably need to do more on the face.
Yeah. Are you getting tired because it's 2 hours already? Yeah, maybe just some details and because if you're continuing on the detailing, it will last a long time. I was also thinking while you're doing this, how if it wasn't live, you would probably spend more time to get to this point.
Well, yes, because
you will not hurry up with the process in order to show it, but it would be more slow build and working toward the concept.
How goes the paint along?
Let me see. There's so you can see here.
Oh, nice.
Really cool.
So this was actually not the idea to be a paint along.
I'm very happy.
But we're happy that there is people who are following and painting. Should I do the pupils? What do you think?
Just like white, or?
Black.
You want to like? Oh yeah, I didn't thought about that. There is space. Cool. So also, guys, don't forget, of course, if you want to share this video for others to watch it, and also their link for getting this bust there and supporting people from La Palma. And yeah, also if you're watching this later and if you like the video, you can leave some comments for us to see what you like. If you're painting along, share your progress using hashtags that you can see probably in description, but also like if you know from our Patreon, and we'll really love to see them on social media. We enjoy seeing your progress of painting by tutorials or inspiration from other pieces. So that's also really cool.
I'm not sure if you can see it.
Yeah, I think it's just a bit visible on the video.
Yeah, his eyes are very drawn inside. Try to make it more, to pop them out a bit more by using this magenta. It's a bit better.
From my view, it looks really cool. I'll check if I see it here. You know, with this color scheme and everything, now I get that vibe of some video game character, with all of the colors and a bit of that textures created with brush strokes. Very cool. It's a bit weird.
Well, the top tips about the 3D printing is first to do the nice leveling of the printer. So I think there is a many guides about the
how to level.
Yeah, so I think the best account to look for thing online is Greg.
Greg 3D
printing or something
on YouTube.
And he have a lot of good tips. Also, you can depending on your printer, you can search for some nice settings for the print. We got lucky that there are so many other people who helped us and told us what settings to use for what options. So
but it seems that it's different for everyone.
And also
for some reason.
Yes, because some printers might, even if it's the same model, might work differently for someone. There's also difference in resin.
Yes.
What I also noticed the difference, for example, during the winter, the resin is more thick, and during the summer it's very thin. One day it was so hot that I didn't even have to place the prints into the warm water to get off the supports because it was so hot. It just fell off. So it really depends on many things, but after a couple of tries you can get the feel of it.
Yeah. And the biggest tip is be patient with that. It really requires a bit of patience with getting these settings right, and when you get them right, the manual settings, then everything should work good. And clean after, or just check the resin after every print.
Yeah, so and about the building and naming the works, I think it helps a lot in keeping the attention on the work. So, for example, if it's just one, say, random giant, you don't really build that much interest in your head toward this piece. But if you said this is Hefesto, the giant that protects the island of La Palma, then you already have some connection to it. And you have a story that you can build in your head, and then you get more drawn toward painting and spending more time on it. It's more fun to paint Hefesto instead of just random fire giant. I know it works for me.
Yeah, I think it works in more cases because it really helps you also decide on.
Yes, sometimes it can be a bit of handicap even, but it's fun, because if you build this story that doesn't connect with the stuff that you're placing or like painting it, then you have to think about it and maybe rethink the idea of those colors and the ambience. Maybe if you have this character that is maybe living in a desert, and then you have just those cold tones. I mean, not cold, but like snow or stuff like that, it won't really make sense.
But there is so many ways to describe certain ambience.
Yeah,
so
that is
maybe it's not a handicap, but more like push you to think outside the box. So it's like it's not the first thing that comes to your mind when you're thinking about something. Like when you think snow, it's not like blue and white. Maybe it's the sun is going down, so everything is red.
Yeah.
And then we have more reds, oranges, and magenta, and yeah, it's cold and it's snow.
Yeah, think about the snow, and it's white and ice. It can actually reflect all the colors surrounding the area. So, I mean, even pink snow, it looks really cool.
Yeah. You can have more interpretation, and that is the fun of it. Adding some smaller, lighter details.
Yeah. I mean, there is a ton of stuff that could benefit from detailing, and I think his face as well, but it's a bit harder to reach.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky about detailing the face of the something that is glowing from the inside, but yes, of course, for the definition it needs always a bit, but there is that level of highlights that you want to take on the darker surface, keeping the lighter values of the lighter one that is from the inside. So
yes, visually. So just a little bit more there. I want to add some of this green as well here. I think it would look cool.
I like it. It brings more visibility to the flat part of the crown.
But still keeping it dark, as we want the flames to look more bright. Something like that. Yes. Yeah, great to hear that, and
thanks for painting along. We enjoyed your updates as well, and yeah, guys, we hope you enjoyed. Marco, you have some final words for Hefesto.
Yeah, there is definitely more things that needs to be done here, but it's pretty much more into details.
So you will just continue working?
Yeah, the initial idea is here, so the bright flames. I'll probably increase some of the brightness around the face, so the face would look even darker, but that will help me to pop out, and then some fine refinement on the armor as well. But it looks good, it looks fun.
But you would also focus on upper part more than on lower, just lower for some definition, but keeping everything.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you all for joining. Visit the links in the description, and thank you for feedbacks also. If you can share this video for more people to see it. If you're watching this later, also like, comment, share, and yeah, we're looking forward for more.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.